Okay, now what I'd like to do is to share a sort of an applied application of psychic dreams. This is an activity that Henry Reed and I started, way back, I don't know, 20 years back maybe. I'd come from Maimonides. I had been exposed to having been a subject there, having been a fairly successful subject, so I knew that it was possible to dream about a target picture that somebody was looking at and trying to send to me. Now, Henry Reed, who was associated with ARE, and this was one of the month-long camps that they have down at Rural Retreat, and we were going to, Henry and I were trying to figure out what we could do that would be of interest for the group, and so we tried to come up with a variation of Maimonides. Obviously, we don't have an EEG, we don't have all the other facilities, but what we would do is see if we could modify this paradigm. So instead of having a target picture that was randomly selected, that somebody's going to try and dream about a picture, we now had a target person. Frequently, the way we would do it is just ask, would anybody like to be the target person? To be the target person, you have to have some kind of personal problem you'd like help with, and a serious one, not like, should I buy a red car versus a blue car, but something the kind you would go to a counselor or the friendly bartender or someone to talk to about it. So if we had more than one, we would usually do sort of an I Ching. We'd put the names in a hat and then go through and pull it out and assume the universe intended that person to be the target individual, the focused person that night. Okay, then what we would do is we have a group of like 7 to 10 people. Then we draw them through this sort of I Ching thing. Then we make a personal commitment so that if I were a helper, I would say, I renounce the right to have any Bob dreams tonight. No Bob dreams tonight. If the person is Mary, I'm just going to have Mary dreams tonight. And then we go, the person who's the focused person who's now been selected gets together with and shares something. So they might, if it were me, I might let them wear a watch, or if I had a locket or something, that sort of a picture. Lacking anything else, at least you could just sign a piece of paper and have your energy for there, so you could take that back and put it under your pillow that night. Now, to be sure that this doesn't change, we have this person write down a statement as to what their issue was, what they were looking for help on. Okay, then they keep dreaming during the night, and they get together the next morning, and now they start saying what their dreams were. I had this dream, I had that dream. And we take notes to see, is there any kind of themes? Is this something that keeps happening and happening? And then they go through and try to see, does it seem like there's some kind of theme we can pull together from here? And then after they do that and sort of make their speculations, I think this seems to be recurring, and I think that has something to do with what you were looking with help for. Then they tell what their issue was, and then there's more discussion that can go on. And then the nice thing about this is, usually whoever is the target person is kind of like the lightning rod for that particular group. They have a problem that kind of reflects that particular group at that particular time. So now you can go back and see, how did they have their dreams, and what might that be saying about themselves? Even though the way it's presented as you're going to dream for Mary, you're still going to have stuff about yourself in there. Next. So now these are the kind of helpers reports. Okay, try and see if you can pick up on the theme. I think you'll be able to. So we got a black car driving into Whitehall. Somebody's hesitant to accept an Oreo cookie. Another one has an ice cream cone with 1 scoop of chocolate and 1 of vanilla. One has black and white keys on the piano keyboard. Martin Luther King preaches in front of the White House. Anybody get a hint as to any kind of theme that's going on? Okay, and then there's these other additional things, that one person had a watch that was slow, and somebody was watching something else moving in slow motion. Okay, next. So what it turned out was, the problem was, this was a young white woman dating a black man, and she was very concerned about how her family was going to respond to this relationship. So that what we were suggesting was to, go slow. I mean, there was all of those themes about doing slow motion. Go slow until you feel like it's pretty solid before you go ahead and mention to your parents on that. Okay, next. Now, what does everybody get from this? Now, the focus person gets to feel very accepted because here are all of these other people giving up a lot of their sleep that night because they're trying to dream and do a good job of it. So every dream helper winds up losing some amount of sleep. They're also taking on this other person's problem that was something they weren't too thrilled about, or it wouldn't have been a problem to begin with. So now somebody's basically saying, hey, I accept your problem, whatever it was, past abortion, or you stole something sometime and spent some time in jail, or whatever it would be. But you accept them on that because you're dreaming about it and taking it on and owning it. You're not rejecting them. You're incorporating it into your own dreams. So that's very reassuring for them. And so they take the different kind of suggestions that come through and see whether there's some additional things that might help the focused person with understanding their issue better. And so now you can see maybe there's something about interracial relationships that I need to pay more attention to. Now, these are all equally good as far as picking up on a black-white theme. You can't say this one's better. Certainly a black-white theme. Oreo cookie, classic black-white. Ice cream cone, 1 scoop of chocolate, 1 of vanilla, black-white. And so we got black and white keys on there, black-white. Martin Luther King, black, in front of the White House. So we got black-white, black-white, black-white. Now, which of those is the best? So you can't say that one is better than the other, but they do display quite different attitudes. So this person won't accept the Oreo cookie. This person takes the ice cream cone and like, oh, this is so good, this is so good. So they're equally contributing to what the picture or what the issue was, but doing it in quite different ways of acceptance versus rejection. So now if you take this on for yourself, you can learn something maybe about your own interracial attitudes that you might not otherwise have had to deal with.